Good morning, everybody. Sorry about last weekend not having any videos out. I had my uncle and aunt show up for the weekend, so spent some time with family, which you do have to do every now and then. It's better for you. So that's the reason why you didn't catch anything out of me last weekend. So I didn't get to upgrade the SRA server because that's what we were working on that one project, and publishing the RESTful on it. So what I thought I'd do is go ahead and give a short video on upgrading both the HF SQL to 25 as well as the WAS, the Web Application Server. Now we use Postgres. We use Apache for our server, but this will give you a little bit of a shot on how it should work, how easy it would be to deal with this. Now, there's one new step that I'm aware of now with version 25 in upgrading the web application server. It is requiring, or it's not requiring, but it's in order to publish, is having it attached to a user that is a user on the machine. So I'm going to go through that as well, let you take a look at that, and you'll see what I mean. And then that way when we publish, things will publish as it's supposed to. According to Pete, he did not think he had to do it on a new install, that it may have created it automatically. I just know that when I did one for American Litho, we couldn't publish until I created the user. So let's keep that in mind, but we'll see where that is. I'll step through where that is. Now, the first step is we got an HF SQL server on this one to do with the telemetry server. So I'm going to go ahead and upgrade the HF SQL, which is pretty quick and easy. Just run the install, let it download what it needs to download, and go from there. After this video, I'll stop this video and get everything situated, and then I'll do another video based upon back in our project to publish the deal, and then move on to the next step from there, and we'll keep this going as much as we possibly can and try to get you a couple today, which we may well do. But my Harley's calling me. My Harley is calling me and saying, "Hey, why ain't you riding me?" It's a cruel taskmaster. I'm hoping everybody has a good holiday here in the U.S. today. It's Memorial Day. I know outside the U.S., you guys don't necessarily celebrate it, but we do here. So I'm using the time wisely on a Monday to take care of things that need to be taken care of. So there we go. Let's get her done. Unpack, and we're going to accept the terms. Next, Windows on this computer, and that's the one we want. So we'll hit next again, and it wants the admin password, which you have to put in. I believe that's it. No. Let's see. There we go. It was one of the two. We got next on that. We don't send me anything. We'll do that later. And then we let her run through its process. In the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and start the download of the web deployment, or the WAS, Web Application Server, and get that installed, or start to take a look at it, because the other install will be running and doing its thing as we move forward. Okay, so this is already done. Let's start the center just to see if everything worked out right. Looky there, ain't we cool? All right, so let's go here. Now this one here is just on this machine to do nothing more than run the telemetry server, which is what it's got right now. And that's it. So we're done with that. We're finished with that one. Okay, so let's download the web application server. And it's going to take a little bit to do that, a little over 1 gig. So I'm going to put the pause on us. Look around at a few things without having to continue to talk while it's downloading, and I will be right back. Okay, all the download is completed, and it is started the setup, so we're sitting right here. Now, the question is whether you need a 64-bit or 32-bit install. The 64 is fine for using a lot of the systems, and it would be my preference other than the fact that I use Postgres, and I've yet to find, and if anybody has one out there, please let me know. I've yet to find the right and correct libs to get things working from a WAS standpoint to 64-bit Postgres. 32, yes. 64, not so much. And frankly, I haven't had a whole lot of time to really run around out there and hunt it down through all of the stuff that's, you know, constantly being thrown up on the internet. So it's probably a good 60-70% my problem versus anybody else. So at the moment, we're going to do the 32-bit web application server. Let that get started. And of course, first thing it's going to do is give me the terms. We're going to do that. And we'll get the setup program. Of course, it wants a serial number. Now, I'm going to pause this because you guys don't need my serial numbers. Use your own. Okay, now that we got it downloaded, we want to tell it where to install. See WebDev's fine. We're going to leave that as default. Store the parameters of 24. This is if you're upgrading, you want to bring up all of the same stuff you had in 24 or 23 or whatever it may be, so that way everything works properly. Or you can redo them if you want to, but that also means any type of installation or new, upgrade into your web application server for a new site, a decent site, or another site, or anything would have to be changed to match. Okay, so we leave this at 24 and continue. Now, this is the one thing that kind of changed between versions, and you got to be a little bit careful because the way it reads, it says keep all the sites in the current version. Well, or import all the sites in version 25. They're not talking about converting your site to 25. Your site will still be whatever version it is. But you want to import all the sites in 25, so all of the sites will run under 25 is the difference in the, the understanding of the statement. So you want to import all the sites into 25, and then we go on to the next one. I don't use the web management. Don't need to do that. Turn those two off so it doesn't add any more stuff to it, and I don't do these SAS. So we're going to leave that alone. Don't need the OWC driver, and then we say let her rock and roll. Let her do its thing. And it's going to do its installation, and then we're going to check a couple things just to make sure life is right and the world's still spinning the proper directions, and the SQL server or the web dev application server needs two more things. We're going to have to do the Postgres on it, which will get set up next. And of course, after that, we got to do the SQL Server one because SQL Server takes a little bit more to do, is what it does. And it will get motivated here in just a few moments. I'll put us on pause till we get past this section. Okay, as it's installing, it's shut down the Mana Manager, doing different things like that, and as soon as it's done, it'll put the correct things out on the desktop, and we can start looking at it. Now, here's the step. We use, like I said, we use Apache, so we've got several virtual servers, okay? So we want to select them all. That's what we want to do. We want to select them all so that way everything works properly. Allow it to upgrade. And the only thing I don't need is the user's guide, so we'll finish that up. And there's the WebDev 25 server. up and running, and I can see the websites there. So let's go ahead and shut that down. I'm going to run the Postgres, get it going, because that's the two that runs on this machine, and update that. And it will be done, and then we can start the SQL Server and get it installed as well. I got to rename this because I had exe problems getting it uploaded. Change that. And no, that's the wrong one. We just did that one. We don't want to do that one. We'll stick with the one we got. Go run this one. English. Do the directory, let it rock and roll. Let it download the things it needs to download, and then we'll put in the serial numbers and things like that and get her going. Now this one here is another 1.2 gigs, so it's going to take a little while to download. Okay, once it's downloaded and set up, then you got your English. We're going to do this. Install on WebDev. Accept the license agreement. Put in our serial numbers and press next. And it will specify the WebDev application server. We hit next, and we are off and running. Let's do its thing. Take the OLEDB one. Let it install, register if you need to, and finish. We're done. Now, this actually now has running on WebDev 25. You can see this, web services are here. This is mainly what this is 90% of its web services and stuff that runs on this one. The setup accounts is the issue that a lot of people need to kind of take a look at and see that happens. If you publish a website or publish a RESTful service and it keeps giving you errors in publishing, what you're going to have to do is come down to edit the accounts. Going to have to pick whatever account that's there, look at the details, and you'll notice that underneath the OS account it says SRA unknown user. Use a non-listed account. Windows account for running sites and web services. Okay, so you got a Windows account for remote setup, deployment, and management, and you got a Windows account for running sites and web services. If it has not given you one to deal with, you will probably have to choose one to deal with. And if you don't have it, you'll need to have your administrator or something add a user ID password that you're willing to, that you can place into these values across the board. Is what you're going to have to do. That's the only thing that I'm aware of that I've ran into under this version versus previous versions, and hope you all have a good day. I'll be churning this one out and putting it across Facebook and YouTube for anybody that needs to take a look at it. Have a great day, and I'll see you on the next one.